This week we explore a little bit more of Dumfries and Galloway, visit the charity shops of Poole and get lost in the Lomond Hills. But first, we're off in search of fairy tales.
Hello again, we are off in search of a graveyard with quite a famous person there, so let's see how we get on. Give you a clue, once again we are not in Scotland, as you can probably tell from the castle thing over there and all the really nice buildings over there. Yeah, this is not Methil. Definitely not in Scotland. That is quite impressive, although we do have lions. This is the King's Park and it dates back to 1606, and if you haven't guessed yet, we are in Denmark. We're in Copenhagen, so we're off to meet Mr. Hans Christian Andersen.
We do quite like Scandinavia for a few reasons. First of all, they've got parkrun, and second of all, it's fairly close to Scotland, so you don't get a numb bum on the flight. And as this was my birthday, we thought we'd treat ourselves to a nice dinner, and the phrase all you can eat belly pork, just that was it. Once I saw all you can eat belly pork on the menu, there was never going to be another option. Bex obviously had some healthy rolled herring and stuff, but I had all you could eat. And this little guy watched over you to make sure that you in fact ate it all. And after a nice dinner, where all I could eat was indeed eaten, it was time to head somewhere that we knew from a previous visit. We have actually been to Denmark before, because you get very cheap flights from Edinburgh with good old EasyJet, and they do parkruns. So we were here one New Year a few years ago, and on New Year's Day you used to be able to do 2 parkruns. So we came across, and the evening ended in the Tivoli Square, which is this, except it didn't look much like it looks here. It was a wee bit busier. At New Year, the population of Denmark all go to Tivoli Square and they all set off fireworks. It was insane. I know we often take the mick out of Irish pubs everywhere, but this is our favourite pub in Copenhagen. It is the Scottish pub. And, what makes a pub Scottish? I suppose having Scottish people in it, having tartan wallpaper, having big thistles everywhere, and by pure chance tonight, Scotland are playing football on the television, but nobody's watching apart from me. So, after a couple of pints of cider, which is basically all we could afford in Denmark. Why is it so much more expensive than Sweden? No idea. Anyway, after a couple of pints of cider, we went for a walk through the city, which was starting to don its Christmas finery. And you can't have them because that's too dear. Sorry, that's the last time I'm ever going to do the deer joke. I do apologise.
Please stop it. Oh, look at I like the Bambi look, sliding in the ice. I like the Christmas tree with Mickey and Pluto.
I've got that Christmas tree, I think, somewhere.
And Mickey Mouse on the playing the piano.
It's a pity I've done the 2 deer joke to death, because all these deers are in pairs.
They're nice.
And before I could do the same joke for the 3rd time, we headed back to our hostel, which had this rather fetching artwork on the wall of the bedroom. Yeah, I said hostel. This is Scotland on a shoestring after all, but to be fair, it was called Revolution and it was very nice. And in case you're wondering, no, this wasn't the hostel. Anyway, we got up bright and early the next day to go off in search of Copenhagen's most famous son, and the only Dane that most people have heard of. We're going to go and find the last resting place of Hans Christian Andersen. And our predictably convoluted route took us down past this lovely stretch of riverside or canal side or something. Anyway, it's beside the water and it's very nice. Lots of eateries and lots of bars.
There's a statue of Tiberius Tiberan, no idea, but it's quite a nice statue. Although he has got no clothes on, he's a bit immodest, and we're now going to go over this bridge towards the graveyard that we are looking for. Possibly via a cup of coffee somewhere. Somebody has not had a cup of coffee yet. No idea what this is. There's a teddy bear with a QR code on him, in the cold all alone. Poor wee panda.
And a little bit of technical advice, if you ever come across a QR code on something like this, do not scan it. You've got no idea where it's going to take you.
So there's the Prague second-hand, and straight over the road from it there is another one. They do like their second-hand shops in this part of the world. I've got so much footage of the back of Bexy's head as she races towards the next charity shop. Loving it.
There is a limit to what you want to buy second-hand though.
And we are at the cemetery, and it is a member of the European Cemeteries route. That sounds like a trail worth travelling, but probably involves quite a lot of mileage. Let's go and see what we can see. Oh, already it's looking quite grand. We're going to try and find Hans Christian Andersen's burial place. The lady has just asked a local, so we're going to go and follow that lady over there because she now knows where she's going. When we looked on Google Maps to find this place, one of the reviews said, forget what you know about cemeteries, this is not a depressing place at all. Well, as you know, we don't find many cemeteries depressing, but this one is particularly nice and very, very grand. And another example of how the Scandinavian languages are just pretty much English with a funny accent. Cycling forbid. Oh, and there is the church that goes with the graveyard. It's a church. This part of the graveyard, although it's got lots of old gravestones dotted about, is still in use. That lady over there was only buried a few days ago, so it's still, it's a real eclectic mix going from very old to quite recent. As with our attempts to find the Bronte sister in Scarborough, we are not doing very well finding Mr. Hans Christian Andersen in Copenhagen. It's not signposted. Wandering about for about half an hour and there's nobody to ask. But he's in here somewhere, you'll have to take our word for it, because we have to take Google's word for it. That's quite smart, isn't it? If we can't find Hans Christian Andersen, there's the grave of Franz Hildebrand, just to give you something to look at. That is, and Richard Hildebrand. And over here we've got somebody else who I'm going to look at, and it is Caroline Pregel. Yeah, I've no idea. I'm just wittering. We're trying to find this gravestone and it's not here. The good news is we've found the map, and number 14 is Mr. Hans Christian Andersen himself, and we are here and he is there, and we came into the graveyard there. So we've walked all the way up here and we've got to go all the way back again, so let's go and find them. I'm thinking that we'd have said Hans Christian Andersen and then have an arrow pointing that way. But somebody's stolen the arrow and the H and the C. Oh, what's that over there? That looks like it might be some war graves. I'm just going to go for a wee look. Is that okay?
Yep, of course.
What we've got here is World War I war graves. Soldiers. There's a Belgian from 1919, so it's all after the end of the war, but they're all in here. Must have made it back and then died after hostilities ceased. That's quite a nice little graveyard. And there's lots of flowers and yeah, it must be international. There's France and Belgium, France and Germany. Probably not Germany, probably Belgium. Infantry regiment. Right, no. Forget everything I have just said, because 20th of January, 21st of January, 19th 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 of January, 18th of January, 17th of January, I think something bad happened, maybe an explosion at a barracks or something, because they're all January 1919. This has become one of those ridiculous things. It's like, if you'd asked us before we came here, how much interest do we have in finding Hans Christian Andersen's grave, we would have said none, round about none somewhere.
No.
And now it's become a mission because we know it's in here somewhere.
There's a sign over there, look.
Oh, sign over there, let's follow the signs. She's not wrong, there's a sign that's still got its H and its C and its arrow, and it's saying go this way, but don't get run over by a cyclist like that lady that tried to run me over. Her there. Grr. That is Christian Alfred Burr, and he's got an owl on top of his grave. That's quite nice, isn't it?
We're not leaving without finding it now.
No, we've come this far, and no, we're not interested in going to see Kierkegaard either. No, he's a philosopher, I think, isn't he? Oh, we're getting warm, and there it is. Are we allowed to look a bit underwhelmed by that, Rebecca?
Yes, I think we are. But it's good to find it.
It's nice to find it, but I was expecting something a bit more, yeah. Hello, Hans, we found you. I now propose a motion that we go and find a cup of coffee. All in favour, say aye.
Yes, please.
Aye, not yes, please. That's quite trippy. Not quite sure what's going on there, or what the person that painted that was actually smoking. Another very impressive building, but still no sign of a coffee shop. Yay, we finally found one. Bex can have her coffee and the day will be a much better place. This is not coffee, this is life support.
And suitably caffeinated, it was time to head home to De Niro. Why is the Lego man the hardest working member of staff at Copenhagen Airport? Anyway, we made it through the airport to our airplane and then back home. So my birthday trip to Scandinavia was done. I had a great time and I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of the video. Now we're going to show you something a bit closer to home.
We are in the Folkland Estate for reasons that we'll show you a bit later, which relate to us being lost.
But first, we're going to take you back to one of our favourite places on our recent trip to Dumfries and Galloway. We were just heading out of Borgue on our way to our next unknown destination, and we saw this sign. Now this is Remembrance Weekend. It's Sunday tomorrow, so let's go for a wee look and a wee bit of remembrance of whoever ended up in here. It's not a bad place to end up, is it? What a nice wee graveyard. And that is an absolutely stunning church. De Niro is off for a wee explore, and by explore he means bounce about.
In a graveyard, is that appropriate?
Well, is it appropriate in a graveyard? Do you think the people buried here would have liked doggies? I think they might have. I think they might be quite happy to see them. They probably don't get many visitors. Private burial plots with quite big fences round about them. Let's see if we can see who is in here. William Candlish, and I guess his family, and then another wee one here that's fenced off, which is slightly less grand, and then a wee bit at the end that is very much not grand. Let's have a look over here. There's a sign on the wall, the clock in the tower, blah blah blah. Can't see that from here. What a nice wee church, what a nice wee place. There are some parts of this graveyard that are quite grand. I'm looking for those distinctive Commonwealth war graves headstones, and I can't see any yet, but we will find them. But over there's another really impressive looking private burial plot. Look at this, so these are so nice. 1860, there's a bit of dating evidence for you. The memory of his wife Agnes Sprott Henry, who died in Cocoonbury, 18th of November 1860. Let's have a look at that big white tombstone. It goes right back from 1872 up to 1976, 1980 at the bottom there. Their ashes are interred here, so they were obviously cremated in red sandstone tombstones with very intricate carvings. Again, a different style to what we've seen in other places, but nonetheless very, very interesting. And that private plot that we were looking at from down there is this. I'm not going to go into it because I don't think it's that interesting, to be honest. I think there's can't really read anything on those memorials over there. Obviously that is the church and the older part down there, and up here is very new. This is bang up to date, up to the year 2000. There's the back way into that little thing we were just looking at from the other side. Let's see, this timber structure, Queen's Royal Lancers, blah blah blah, and that must be some military bloke. I can't really read that, to be honest. Sir William Maxwell, Baronet of Cardenas, 1923, I think. It is a pretty little place, this. I'm going to keep saying that because it's going to keep being true. Even Bex is enjoying it, and De Niro has decided it's time for a zoomie. So although I'm sure the modern bit over there is very interesting, it's not as interesting as down here with loving memory of James Cook, who died at Auchenhay. All these gravestones have got the houses where people lived. All the houses obviously had names, and I think that's really cool. It gives you a proper sense of that house will still be there. You can go and find it and know where that guy lived. That's quite interesting, I think, if you're interested in these things. Oh, De Niro has found something interesting on the bench at the back. Let's go check. There's nothing untoward on the other side of that. There's not. It's just a bit of waste ground. What have you found, De Niro? Sniffy, sniffy, sniff, sniffs. What are you sniffing at? There's nothing interesting there. You do not need to do any further sniffing. It is an absolutely stunning day in the south of Scotland. It's been really cold and really miserable, but today it is back to being just a bit cold and not miserable at all. I think the world would be a better place if there was more euphemias in it. Hello, Euphemia. And down the bottom, that might be the war grave that we're looking for, because that is Private James Kirkpatrick of the 9th King's Own Scottish Borderers, who was drowned by enemy action August 1915, aged 20. That is quite an impressive view, and I don't just mean Bex, I mean the church and the blue sky and the sunshine and obviously the greyhound. So it is quite interesting, the arrangement in this graveyard, because over there it's like very early 1900s, so that's like older stuff, and then there's new things here, 2017, all very recent, and then old stuff there again. But I wonder why, like, the old stuff was there and away over there with a big, what would have been a big gap in the middle. Don't know. Any of you's got any idea? Let us know, because we can't think why this bit here would have been left, but along the back wall there's older tombstones. Wow, this guy's got a bit of a colourful history, I bet. Major William Raphael, DCM, that's Distinguished Conduct Medal, I guess. Médaille Militaire, Croix de Guerre avec Palms, late of the Gordon Highlanders. So some French awards and some British awards. Hello, Major Raphael. Oh, it's a good job there's a gate there, because here we see the mortal enemy of the greyhound, the style. And that was just about the last of the blue skies and sunshine for this year, because when we headed up into the Lomond Hills a couple of weeks later, it looked a bit, grey.
Yeah, it's another Sunday morning, it's stupid o'clock, and it's time to go for a run. We are back in the Lomond Hills, which you may remember from our roaming in the Lomond episode, but if not, go watch it. A wee bit icy, that bit. If you're going to fall over on the ice, can you wait till I get in front of you so I can film it?
Yeah. I'll take the morning.
Thanks. Yeah, we're loving it, really loving it.
Beautiful scenery.
And the scenery was indeed beautiful, but it wouldn't be sticking around for long. It looked like it was going to get quite foggy, especially the further we got up this great big hill that is West Lomond.
This is, needless to say, all uphill, and we are moving into the cloud, so there's actually less and less for you guys to see. But we're having fun, aren't we, Vix?
And the Lomond Hills have got their Christmas tree up. This must be a special tree because it's the only one for miles and miles and miles. But as we got further up this hill, the more grey and miserable it looked. This really is quite a bleak and desolate place. It's probably okay if you've got all the right gear like these guys, but I don't think we have.
This is a path, apparently, probably used by sheep and not really much by people, but hey, we're lost again. Oh no. That looks like a bit of a cliff.
At this point, the sensible thing to do might have been to turn back. That is quite a steep slope, but no, we're not sensible. We'll keep going and hopefully get down to the bottom eventually.
Yeah, this is not the path we were supposed to be on, I don't think. We've given up trying to find a path. Bex reckons if we go down here, we'll get to somewhere sensible, and she is the one of us who is sensible, so I am following her. It also means if anything happens, it's not my fault. And after some rather extreme off-roading, I think we've found the path. Well, that's there. We think might be a path. And now that we've recovered from our near-death experience of mountaineering, we've come down out of the mist and you can start to see some land and some prettiness and a nice view. So there you go, there's a nice view as we head back down towards, well, civilization, a road at least, so we can keep our wee run going. Yeah, I was just saying to Bex that it was a bit hairy coming down there. It was a bit like off-road and steep, and she said, yeah, but it's good content though. It's a path in the loosest possible sense of the word. We're not exactly dressed for this. Whoops. In the middle of a field, there's this. This is a rather fancy rock outcrop that's marked on the map, and there's a thing up here called the Bunnet Stain. And that is the Bunnet Stain up there, I think, because it's shaped like a bunnet. A what?
That'll be our word of the day.
So the sign has seen better days, but there is, strangely, a cave.
A cave of romance, or just a board. The cave you can see is known as the Maiden Bower. Its tale is a sad and romantic one. A local girl loved the son of a rival family. These rocks were then their meeting place.
But one evening while she waited, she saw him ambushed as he drew near. Her father's men sprung from hiding and slew him. She refused to return to the family home and lived for a hermit life in this cave. She became known locally as a saint, and people came here with their sorrows. And if this cave is a bit inexplicable, we've just noticed this. It's got holes drilled like the way through. I wonder if this was actually like mining stone or quarrying stone or something, because look at all those holes. They're like the holes that you would drill and then pack with explosives to bring the rocks down. Don't know. Anyway, it's a pretty story. Actually, ignore what I said before. That is the Bunnet Stain there. It's quite funny doing this in this really cold weather, because whichever one of us is speaking to the camera depends on who's got the least amount of, well, for want of a better term, snot running down their face, because it's very cold.
At least when we got to the Bunnet Stain, we were near the road, and the road would take us back down towards Folkland Estate and up to where Daisy was parked. The bad news was we were about 10 kilometres away.
If you'd like to ignore our dreadful continuity, a different outfit, different weather and no Bex, I've come back to the Bunnet Stain with a drone. I've also come back to look at that big cliff that we were walking down to see if it is as horrible as I remember. And a little health and safety announcement after watching the first bit of this video. Please, if you're going to go into the Scottish Hills or any hills, be prepared. It's not a case of you can end up lost. If you come places like this, you can start off lost. You've got no idea where you are, you've got no idea where you're going. And you can say, okay, we're going to follow the path, it'll be fine. But sometimes paths disappear, so do be careful and don't do what we did. Not a bad wee view, but that's looking back at a very pretty corner of Fife with the obligatory wind turbines on the horizon. Yeah, quite nice. We like this bit round Folkland and the Lomans. So if you're coming to Scotland, definitely worth a visit, especially Folkland. Falkland is an amazing wee village. But that's kind of what we're all about, taking you places that you might not know, that you might not otherwise go. And if you're wondering why I haven't brought De Niro on what would be a lovely walk, there's a stile. I know not long ago you couldn't even go upstairs, but stiles still flummoxing. So we're going to work on stiles so you can come exploring with us. That thing about being able to get lost, I do hope I've come the right way. I don't remember it being this far up the path. Brilliant. There it is in front of me, but the sun is sort of illuminating everywhere beyond it. It's not actually illuminating the bonnet stain and its wee outcrop itself yet, so I might have to hang about until it gets a bit of sunlight. It is really cold. It's about time for my annual polar bear joke, but not yet. And to all our friends watching in places like Canada, yeah, very cold is relative. It's about -2. Well, it was definitely worth hanging about, hello, until the sun got a bit higher in the sky behind me. Now, what do you think? Think I could fly the drone through that gap there? I think that could end badly. Let's give it a go, very slowly. It is quite impressive when you get close up. This must have been done by aliens, because there's no way that could be natural. I mean, that just looks like it was done by aliens, yeah? And up here, because this is a popular spot, there's lots of carvings. There is a nice sort of Ankh type cross, CA, and over here, lots of people have sat up here and carved their names. Now, this is vandalism done properly. Kids today don't carry a chisel and a small hammer about with them. Although, having said that, that one there is 2011. So it's not that old, 2015. Actually, I take that back, 2020. Kids today do carry a small chisel about with them in order to do their indelible vandalism. I wonder if K and S are still together, because if not, they'll have to come back and scrub that out. Right, so there you are. That is the dark side of the bonnet stain. That is the path that Bex and I came down the other day. It starts off way up there, well, not really a path, starts off up there where we got lost, and then we came down that gully there. So we came down the face, down that gully, and then hit that proper path where that gentleman's going up the hill and these two people are coming down. So we hit the right path, but it's the only path in miles and miles of hillside, so I think we were quite lucky. Well, that was well worth the effort, but now let's go back and see how we're getting on with that run. Yeah, so it's about an hour later, and our nice wee run is turning into a bit of an epic. Really enjoyable, really pretty, but much longer than we were expecting. And Bex is, as usual, out in front somewhere. I'm really looking forward to getting back to Daisy and getting the kettle on. Several hours later, well, an hour and a half later, we are in the Folkland Estate. And we're still heading back towards where we parked Daisy, but this is a pretty place. We've shown you it before. If you look at our Roman in the Lomans video and then our Falklands video, it's in the two of those, so we'll not labour the point here. We are now suffering from that unique runner's phenomena where all the hills go up. Where are the downhills? There aren't any. That'll be the local petrol station with its petrol pump that probably hasn't been used for about 50 years. And there's a nice house, and there's Bex, who is now on a mission to get back to the van. Well, I am quite frankly exhausted, and Bex is equally exhausted. But it's not all uphill. I lied earlier, because here's a flight of stairs. And because it's a flight of stairs, that can only mean one thing. It's time for a fast forward. Believe me, that was the slowest fast forward ever.
Oh dear.
Bex just asked if I was sure I was on the right route. Don't tell her, I haven't got a clue. Yeah, it turns out that wasn't the greatest shortcut in the history of shortcuts, but we're almost there.
Well, I suppose we could just say it was a nice adventure, but in reality it had been a lot more arduous than either of us were expecting. This is how people get lost up on the moorsides. I mean, this is the middle of nowhere, but thankfully we got back to Daisy okay because we had Google Maps. Without Google Maps we would have been probably still lost. I suppose I better get on with making some crafty time now that I've got half a day of not doing anything else, because I appear to have sold out of most of the stuff we had in our wee Etsy shop, so let's get it restocked. And if you watched a couple of weeks ago, this is the stuff that we collected on the beach at Kirkcaldy, and this is what I'm going to be using today. Hopefully I've got enough here, but if not, we've got quite a lot in the shed. We've got to be collecting this for a wee while, so let's go and do some crafty craft. This will be the first part of this week's little exercise. There's going to be a heart, a birdie and a different type of birdie. We like these. These are really popular at Christmas because they're quite good for hanging on your Christmas tree if you have such a thing. And there's the pottery that we collected. But I always try to do this in one batch. I kind of like the fact that it's all got on one day and it's all done at once. I like that. I'm also trying a new camera arrangement with a big tripod and stuff. So hopefully this will be a bit more professional than the last one, which did look like I was just making a mess. Which, to be fair, is kind of true. That's the setup that we've got now with a nice shiny new tripod, which again has been bought with money that we've been given by our lovely patrons. So new tripod, same old phone, and right, let's see how this goes. And with a good smearing of glue, let's do this. I'm going to do this with our spongeware, Scottish spongeware that we collected. So that is over there. This should look quite pretty. Half the fun is trying to sort out what's going where. It's a lot of trial and error, but the end results always seem to look quite good. Sometimes you spend as long taking the bits off as you do putting them on. It's not an exact science. And with the heart done and ready to dry, it's time to get on to the birdie. These are always a bit more tricky because I like to get the beaks and stuff looking right, so it's finding the right bits of pottery for that. But again, we usually manage. This one is going to be mostly blue. And sometimes, occasionally, like this bird, it fights back at every single step. I'm trying to do this getting filmed from the side so I can't look down on top because the camera's in the way and it's really, really annoying. But eventually it gets there after a bit of fighting and cursing. Yeah, I'm going to do another heart. If you're wondering what happened to the little bird, I ran out of inspiration. It's not looking great. I could go and get more pottery, like I said, but I like it all to be from the same batch, so let's make another heart instead. Okay, so a last minute change of plan for a little blue and red heart, which proves, if nothing else, it does not always go according to plan. And that is what has been made from the pottery we collected on the beach last week. So not a bad wee selection. A bit of a challenge. I did have a bit of a battle with that little birdie, so eventually I just gave up. These ones are quite small, so they do fiddly little bits of pottery, and we just use the pottery as we find it. We don't break it down or cut it. We use the shapes that the sea and nature have given us. Greyhounds are so neat and so elegant. They're such compact little dogs that always look, oh, they're just so cool. I mean, look at that, that's a lovely study in neatness and compactness and organisation of the legs. De Niro, you're a mess. I know what you're all thinking. Yeah, very good, but where are the charity shops? Well, this week's charity shops are in the town of Poole, where me and my friend Richard visited a few weeks ago. Here we see a BMW driver in his natural element deciding which 2 spaces he wants to take up in the car park. It's a little bit busier than it was last night. I don't think we'll be doing too much filming because I'll probably get arrested or assaulted or something. Deborah shop first. Oh, an early contender. Catch protection? Oh, it's closed. Must be out in the litter box. Take my eyes off of you. Oh, a wee bit of live music. Can you beat it? Richard impatiently waiting outside Age UK, so let's go and see what Age UK have got. Oh, everything you could possibly need. Reasonable selection of tat. That's not a charity shop. It sells Lego, so I'm definitely not going in there. And I mean it, I'm not going in there. Julia's house, another one, another private one. We do like wee local charity shops, and this one was very nice, very good stock and very reasonably priced, and even had a little selection of books on where you could take your dog for walks. That was a nice charity shop. Richard has done some shopping and they had a really nice hoodie, but it was £15. £15 for a hoodie in a charity shop. Yeah, that is not happening. Oh, and there's PDSA. Well, for all, there's lots of charity shops here. I'm not having a great deal of success, but we're going to go and now try in the Dogs Trust shop.
You're buying any more dogs?
I'm not buying any more dogs, no Richard, I'm not buying another dog. We've got one and I don't think he'd like a little friend. Although, to be fair, he might. And Richard is off like a Bex. And woof to you as well. But that is quite a nice bag and it's £8. I think we'll have that for droning and laptoping. Okay, so I relented and bought something. It's a posh laptop bag. These things are usually quite expensive. This one looks like it's not been used and it was £8, so we'll have that. The drone will go in there and a little camera. Actually, I've just found out it is actually new because it's still got the tag on it, so bargain. And now Oxfam. Any DVDs you want to add to your collection?
No.
It's funny, isn't it? You get rid of them by the 100, by the box load, and then you go out and buy more.
Okay, and ending this end of the street, we've got British Heart Foundation and the British Red Cross. This will be a double whammy. Hopefully there'll be double lots of cool things. £50? No. And 30 for that. Also no. 50 quid for Number of the Beast on vinyl.
Yeah, no.
I'm rich. It's £30 for the Beastie Boys on the other side as well. I've got them. I'm rich. We were just having a discussion about what we're having for our tea tonight, and we've decided we're going back to the kebab shop. We know how to live life on the edge, don't tell Bex. And next up, it's the Salvation Army, the only charity shop with the authentic smell of a charity shop these days. That's quite nice, and it's £4. I think we will have that as well. Oh, that was nice. Two lovely ladies in there who wanted to chat about YouTube when they saw the camera. It's like, oh, I should have asked if I could have just filmed in here, and they probably would have said yes. And that's that. Promised you some charity shops in this video, and that was him. It's a pity Bex wasn't here, because I think she could actually have spent maybe £10-15 in those shops easily.
And that's it for this week's episode of Scotland on a Shoestring. We do hope you like this new format where we try to squeeze as much in as we possibly can. If you do, or if you don't, please let us know in the comments. And as usual, we'll see you next week for more.